Hey everyone, it's Jasmine, and today I'm answering a question I get asked all the time. How did you choose Panama from your list of Albania, Portugal, Mexico, and Panama? Now, when I first started thinking about moving abroad, I cast a wide net. I was looking for a place that was warm, safe, affordable, and aligned with the lifestyle I'm creating for my son and I. So I created a list with 4 countries that kept coming up in my research. Albania caught my eye because it's beautiful, affordable, and still feels undiscovered. Portugal had this calm, safe, dreamy energy that I love. Mexico felt familiar, vibrant, and close to home. And then there's Panama. It was modern, tropical, diverse, and surprisingly easy to move to. But when I sat down and looked at my actual criteria, safety, cost of living, ease of residency, distance from Seattle, opportunities for my son, and a lifestyle that feels soft and warm, Panama kept checking all the boxes. The moment it clicked for me was when I realized I wanted both beach life and city life, and Panama gives you both of those while using the US dollar. I wanted a place that wouldn't overwhelm me by the process because I wanted expansion, not escape. So that's how Panama became the choice. It's not about which country is best. It's about which country aligned with the life I'm creating next. If you're curious about moving abroad, choosing a softer life, or just following this journey, be sure to stick around. It's just the beginning. The criteria that mattered most to me. So number one, of course, safety. Yes, safety was my number one thing. It's the reason why, honestly, I want to leave the US because I don't feel safe here as a Black American and with my son. So when I started to look at the countries, knowing safety was my number one, I started to like anywhere else. YouTube. Went to YouTube and I just started searching Black expats in Panama, Black expats in Albania, and I came up with tons of results. One of the couples that I follow who have been to all of the locations that are on my list is they're originally from New York, and their YouTube channel is Going Farther Together. If you've seen their videos, they're amazing. I love the way that they break down their videos. They generally stay for like a month or longer at each location. They are digital nomads, I believe. And when they do a breakdown, they break down their food costs, their eating out costs, like the rent that they're paying. They do Airbnb. And they also touch on how they felt as Black Americans in each of these countries. And I really appreciate that. And so I started looking at their videos and how they felt. Also, who came up was Abroadability. She is located in Panama. And so I watch her videos, and she also touches on how she feels as a Black woman living in Panama and has been there for a few years and has residency there. And then big one is I joined the Exodus Summit group, which was founded by, if you know, the Stephanie Perry and the Rashida Dow. And that's an amazing group for Black women. There is a few thousand of us, I believe, in that group. And each and every one of us is basically going to move abroad or has already moved abroad. And so upon joining that, I was able to go to, I'll say, like the Panama section in there, and I'm able to see all these other Black women who have already moved abroad, and they are great to go to just have a general question, and especially when you're talking about how are you guys feeling safe wise, or what's going on in the US, how is that affecting, you guys there where you're located. It's a real nice way in my eyes to be up to date, because sometimes, YouTube videos, they go out of date, like 1 month, 2 months have passed, and we all know that things change very, very drastically. And so safety being number one, I did all that deep dive research, found tons of videos, and each and every single one of the YouTubers that I found and the ones that I've mentioned have stated they have and continue to feel safe in those locations. And so that was key for me, which was very helpful. Number two, cost of living. Big one. Now with this, I really just needed the cost of living to be, I wanted it to be about half the cost for me to live than it is here in Seattle. And so all of those locations, based off my research of YouTube and having to kind of do updated research with times changing, specifically around renting or, the cost of places, if you're buying and or renting, even Airbnbs, that's important. And so I wanted to be sure that I was going to choose a place that wasn't too close to what I'm paying now, because that's not really worth it. And if it was to quickly rise or that cost was to go up in that location, then I'm like right back into Seattle prices, and that's not what I want. So each of those locations had at least half, or if not more, of a drop in cost of living for me. And just to put in perspective, here in Seattle, basically monthly expenses all in for me is about close to $8,000. So let's drop it down. Let's drop that down. Number three, ease of residency. So this one I really had to kind of do my research on as well. I ended up creating a chart. Here's my chart where it compares all four of these countries. And I was really interested in not only the ease of residency, but the length of stay, the process, and the number of options. As you can see, there's quite a few options for us as US citizens to basically get residency in all of these locations. And, smallest one being 90 days up to 1 year. That's in Albania. And for me, specifically pertaining to Panama, I really like the Friendly Nations visa. The Pensionado visa or retirement one is the one that's the most popular, but I'm too young. I still have to work. I'm not ready to retire yet. So that one does not work for me. But the Friendly Nations visa, which I think they also call it like the corporate or business visa, that's the one where you start your own business or corporation there. And that basically assists you in getting residency. And that's the one I'm leaning towards, but there could be other options. Number one thing, consult an attorney. I've seen that on every single YouTube channel. I am consulting an attorney to be sure that that is my best option for my son and I, and she'll tell me if it's not. But consult an attorney, because we have plenty of options, and probably more than you think. And also, everybody's situation is different. So what works for me may not work for you, or vice versa. So whenever you're talking about legal stuff, at least for me, I need that extra little bit of help. And again, it's a different country. And I have heard too that things are in Spanish in Panama. And again, I don't speak Spanish, and so I definitely need help when it comes to understanding, what their paperwork is saying as far as residency goes for the country. Number four for me, distance from Seattle. This is big because I do have my son who will be with me. His dad is does and staying in Seattle, and will continue to live here in Seattle, as far as we still have family all throughout the United States. And so I wanted to make sure that it was easy for us or them to come to us. I really wanted it to be hours to get back, not days, in the event that an emergency happens or we just kind of need to, be together quickly, because things are always happening, as we know, and you never know when you need to hop that plane real quick. So that is one reason why I'll say Panama also really stuck out for me, is that there's direct flights to the US and it only takes hours, not days, for me and my son to get back to the US. Albania, Portugal being a little bit further, I'll say kind of went down the list a little bit, but still completely something that I am, excited about as far as having something close. Mexico was right there too, because it's right next to home. Number five, lifestyle. Of course, I want slower pace. I need walkability. I want comfort and currency. I know, why is currency on there? Well, currency is on there because, money. Money talks and beep, walks. Just kidding. Or am I? But anyways, no, currency is on there because I need to know how to convert, from the USD to other forms of currency in other countries. And so that was something that I wanted to look at because it's something I would have to understand and learn, as well as I would have to teach my son. Also warmth. I wanted a place that was warmer. I think I said slower pace of life, just that softer life. And this, I will say, is probably where Panama stuck out, because when you look at all of those, basically all of them check the boxes as far as like soft life, slower pace. There's walkability depending on, your neighborhood or location you're at. Just the comfort, warmth. They all have warmth. So that was good. But currency was the tipping point, because Panama does use the US dollar. So that's one less thing that I actually need to learn. And that's just a comfort for me to already have it be in something that I'm familiar with and using, and I don't have to do a conversion rate or anything like that. So that's really where Panama took the cake. As you can see in my chart, I basically did like a chart kind of comparing all of my criteria of what mattered most to me, and nothing was red, but as you can see, Panama won with lots more greens in there, and really it was the currency and it was the distance as well from Seattle, with those direct flights and being close. So what drew me into each country? Let's start with Albania. Affordability, and it's beautiful. I've heard and I've seen plenty of photos where they have a beautiful coastline, on top of the fact that you can stay there for 1 full year off your US passport or Canadian passport. So that, really the passport's probably what drew me in. And then there's also a growing expat community there as well. And so I've noticed that across YouTube, a lot of people are going to Albania because of affordability, being able to kind of test it out and be there for 1 year just off your passport and not having to apply for residency. And then if you do want to apply for residency, they do have, I believe, like kind of the business one as well, which draws people in. And of course, they have a slower pace of life. It's not like here. It's not the hustle and grind. So that's what drew me to Albania. For Portugal, it's beautiful. I've had friends that have traveled there and they've said it is beautiful. Also, they all have said that they felt very safe there, safer than they have felt in cities in the US. So that's big. And then also just like a great quality of life. I've heard about like just the types of food, just the quality of like the people and how you're feeling and what you're being provided as far as like food. We all know that stuff's going on in our food here. That doesn't happen in other countries though. And so that, again, on top of it's popular for expats. I know that Portugal has quite a few locations, cities and towns that are big for expats, and it's growing. And top of that too, Black Americans have reported that they have felt safe in all of those locations in Portugal. For Mexico, of course, what drew me there is I used to travel to Mexico when I was little, so I know it's close to home. I know it's vibrant culture. I also know it's affordable, and there's many cities that you can choose from. But I kind of felt it was too close to home maybe, but it still was worth a viable option. And Rashida Dow, who is in the Exodus Summit, who started it, she lives in Mexico City, and so has been a great resource for me to be able to watch and kind of see how she's living her life there. And so that was on my list. And then, of course, we have Panama. Panama came in because of the warm climate, the US dollar being used, affordability, direct flights to the US, and they also have good schools and infrastructure there. So that's also important to me, considering my son is a teenager and does need to go to school, although he is going to be going to an online remote school that has a US-based curriculum. The other thing about Panama is they have a very diverse expat community, and they have a very big and consistently growing Black expat community there. On top of the fact too that there are companies that offer relocation tours. I know relocation tours are also located in other countries, but there were a few in Panama, and I'll say one that was drawn into me, which is Black Expats in Panama, with Charlotte Van Horn. If you have seen her videos pop up, great information. And then there's also Panama relocation tours with Jackie Lang as well, who does, and her videos, great information there as well. And so there was just a lot more, I'll say, information or not expertise, but kind of foot on ground experience. I also have a friend that moved to Panama about a year ago from Atlanta, and she has also been another reason why she really put Panama on the list for me, actually. Thank you, girl. Appreciate that. Why Panama 1? Why was it my number 1? I think there's a few things. One, as I said, close to home, USD being used there. But I also think that it was the one that felt the most aligned with me, culture and community, based off what I was seeing in videos. I was getting a sense and just kind of hearing people's sentiment about feeling that they can breathe, feeling better, a softer way of life, and specifically for Black Americans. They were like, you're not going to be the only one in the room. Like, there's going to be a lot of you guys in the room. And also, I think the balance of the tropical kind of city life, I like that mix. I was drawn to that as well. I hope this journey invites a healthier life, both physically and mentally, as well as a lighter life. You know, affordable healthcare, housing, groceries, utilities. You know, I want to be able to afford everything on my own income streams. I don't want a regular 9-to-5. Also, community. So that was the biggest thing. As I said, I joined the Exodus Summit, and also that culture and community was really big to me, something that I mentioned in my last video. And with that, I am going on a relocation tour. I am going on Charlotte's, the Black Expats in Panama tour at the end of this month. And I will be there for a week to basically experience it for myself. What I really like about the tour and what it's going to give me is not only is it going to take me around to different neighborhoods and places in Panama and let me look inside rentals or places to buy that I can be interested in, I'm also going to be able to meet with my attorney in person and also a realtor in person who I've already have connections with, but to see them and kind of, you know, build that relationship. As well as with this relocation tour, there was a focus on the Panamanian culture that is there. And since that is something that I am looking for, is that community vibe, I felt that this was a great opportunity for me to kind of really zero in or hone in to verify that Panama is my choice. I know it's my choice. I personally just don't want to move without going. And I know people do that. I know some people just make the jump and they move and stuff, but that's just something I didn't want to do. I really wanted to make sure that I was going to visit the country first and get the vibe and feel for myself, because you can only experience so much on a video. And I felt I had come to that point where I know enough, and now I really just want to do that. And so I chose Panama and booked that relocation tour. So I am so excited to be going there. Have not been to Panama at the end of this month and spending time there. I will be recording my journey and sharing that with you guys of how I'm feeling. See if that compares to what I've been doing all my research on. And so if you guys are interested in this journey and continuing to watch me move abroad to Panama, please go ahead, comment, like, hit that subscribe button. Super appreciate it. And as always, que sopa, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.